Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me on our Thoughtfully Fit Live weekly chat. I am happy to share with you today an email that I got from somebody asking if I would talk about something specific in today's video. And so we've been talking about balanced conversations and how to balance what you want and need with what someone else wants and needs. And I did a workshop for a company, and I got an email, follow-up email from one of the people who attended. And she said, as a leader or an employee, what happens when a coworker comes at you, assuming they are right, blaming and judging you? How can you pivot that conversation from one that has a harsh startup into one that ends focused on resolution? Which is such a great question. And underlying that is a question that I get all the time. So this morning I was facilitating a women's leadership workshop for the city of Madison, and they had city and state and county employees there, women there. And it was all about talking about conflict and the 4 toxins that show up in relationships where there's conflict. There's blaming and criticism. That oftentimes then evokes defensiveness, which is really just a way of blaming something or someone else. Number 3, if those 2 go unaddressed and run rampant, the blaming, criticism, and defensiveness, inevitably contempt comes in as the 3rd toxin. And then the 4th one is stonewalling, which is a way to deal with a situation, of sort of very unpolished way to deal with a situation when you're flooded, when emotionally you can't handle it anymore, you want to avoid conflict. And so at the workshop this morning and in this email, there's this underlying question of, okay, but what if I can't control how someone else shows up? What if they come at me with a harsh startup? What if they're blaming and criticizing me? How do I deal with that? And in the Thoughtfully Fit model, that's agility. And it's interesting because there's 6 components. There's 3 internal and 3 external. And all the other 5 components that we've talked about are very proactive. Creating stillness in your life, having having the strength, the mental strength to consciously choose how you're going to show up. Endurance, having growth mindset and having grit. All of these have really been focused on things that you proactively control. Agility is different because agility is the component that's needed when you're blindsided, when you're caught off guard, when someone comes at you, blaming or criticizing you or angry or whatever it might be, and you have to respond. And that's what's key with agility, is how do you get out of that default mode of reacting and instead respond. And of course, as with all of the other components, it involves strengthening your core, pausing, thinking about what's my default, how have I reacted in the past, and what's been the outcome of that, and then acting consciously and responding and choosing how you're going to respond. So I'm looking at this email. It talks about when a coworker, or for that matter, it could be a spouse or a neighbor or somebody on a volunteer committee at school, comes at you, assuming that they are right, you're wrong, they're blaming, they're judging you, and they are not using a soft startup. It's a harsh startup. How do you transition that to one that's focused, to an outcome that's focused on resolution? And there's a skill. There's lots and lots of skills. For each of these components, there's multiple skills and multiple mindsets. I'm just going to talk about one skill today to give you a concrete example of what do you do in that moment. And it's something that's called connect, then content. So when someone's coming at you and you're blindsided and they're angry, for most of us, our default response is to do one of a couple things. React to get defensive, to say, but wait, well, that's not what I did, to sort of try to figure out how to defend yourself, how to set the record straight. Sometimes some people are aggressive and they'll come back by, blaming and criticizing the other person. The question that I have for you is, if you recognize yourself in any of these examples, how's that working for you? Do you want to focus on the relationship and finding resolution, or do you want to be right, or do you want to have revenge, or do you want to look good? So this skill that I'm offering to you today is a skill that you would use if you really do want to stay in a relationship, if you aren't focused on being right or getting revenge. And what it means is that connect then content is that you first meet the person where they are. You match their energy. If it's harsh, you match it. You don't come back saying, oh, I can see you're upset. They come in and say, I can't believe you did this. And then they start rattling off and blaming you. You say, wow, I can hear you're upset. You're really angry. I'm so glad you came to me so that we can talk about this. Or if they come to you and they're tender and they're soft and they're frustrated and their anger is softer, then you're going to match that and connect with them by first letting them know you really hear them. I can hear you're disappointed, that you're really sad about what happened and how I handled that. Now, whether or not you agree or disagree with whatever they're attacking you on or bringing to you doesn't matter, because the first thing you need to do is connect, to let them know that you hear them, that you appreciate what they're saying. It's not the time to get into looking good, to being right, to getting defensive, to trying to prove yourself. You just pause and think about in that moment, how can I connect with this person? Because the fact of the matter is, even if they don't do it in a very polished way, they are having the courage to come to you directly instead of triangulating and going and having the post-meeting meeting where they're talking to somebody else about you and how angry they are. So there's an opportunity there to say, I can hear you're angry and frustrated, and thank you for coming to me. I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your viewpoint. And until you stay there and connect and match their energy and meet them where they are until you feel a shift. And once you feel a shift and a softening, then you can go to the content. Then you can start to have a conversation about what happened and why you made the choice you did. And then you can start to look at how to step into balance, how to find that win-win solution. How to honor. So it sounds like you're frustrated and you're angry, and here's what you want. And let me, if it's okay, can I share with you where I'm coming from and why I brought it up in this way, or where I'm coming from, what I want or what I need. Are you okay if we sort of just honor that we both have different opinions and different views, and we're angry about this, and can we come together? So when you're blindsided and someone comes at you in a maybe triggered way with a harsh startup, what you can't do is go back and say, you know what, you got to go watch this video from this Thoughtfully Fit Thursday, because what you need to do is have a soft startup. Because if you come in 98% of the time, how you start a conversation is how it's going to end. And you just came balls roaring at me, and this is going to end harshly. You can't step into a place of where you're trying to fix them or change them. It's not your job. You only can focus on yourself and how do you show up in that moment. And in that moment, even if they aren't showing up in a way that you want, you can't change them. You can just make a conscious choice and pause and think about what's needed and then act from that place. And the one tip skill that I'm going to offer you in the weekly workout challenge is to focus first on connecting before you go to the content. Let the person know you hear them, you appreciate that they're talking to you. Honor that they need to be witnessed in their emotions, their anger. Self-manage if you need to, if you can. connect, then go to the content. I hope this is helpful for you. I would love to hear if you try it, how it goes. If you try it at home with your kids, with your neighbors. If you fail fabulously, let me know. And if you've got other things you want me to talk about in future videos, please shoot me an email, go to my website, DarcyLoma.com, send me a note, write some comments here, because I am really passionate about helping spread the word of how to find greater inner peace and increased happiness and fulfillment in your life and your relationships. Thanks so much for joining me. I will also say this week is the last week for the early bird discount for the small group coaching for women. So if you're looking for some more support and accountability, we have a 4-month small group coaching starting in the fall. And if you join before May 31st, you can get the discounted rate. Thanks so much for joining me. Everybody have a happy Memorial Day weekend, and I'll